Wow, I have some more big news, Megan. I'm just getting this right now. So somebody that's very, very respected asked me to do his show 2 weeks ago, and I said, why not? And to me, it's very big because he's the biggest there is, I guess, in that world by far. Somebody said the biggest beyond anybody in a long time. And his name is Joe Rogan, and he's never done this before. And it just came over the wires that Joe Rogan just endorsed me. Is that right? Thank you, Joe. That's so nice. And he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that stuff. And he tends to be a little bit more liberal than some of the people in this room. No, I had a lot of fun, and he was amazing, and it was a 3-hour interview. In fact, I was 2 hours late for a rally that we had. I had explained that a little bit, and it was cold out that night. We flew, but we had to make it. We were more than 2 hours late, and they understood. I said, I just was interviewed by a very interesting guy, and he just kept going on. They called it a long form, and it could have gone a lot longer, but he was great. And he's not a person that does endorsements, but he did an endorsement. So I just want to thank Joe Rogan. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so we got to talk about a major endorsement that dropped just yesterday, and that is Joe Rogan. Not, booty shaking, twerking on stage, right? None of that. Joe Rogan, who is the biggest podcaster that there is. I mean, I feel like Joe Rogan put podcasting on the map. Like Joe Rogan made it like the thing, and now like everybody has a podcast, it seems, or some kind of podcast, right? But I want to read this from Joe Rogan. He says, the great and powerful Elon Musk. If it wasn't for him, we'd be, I'm gonna keep it PG. You can see the word on your screen there. He makes what I think is the most compelling case for Trump you'll hear, and I agree with him every step of the way. For the record, yes, that's an endorsement of Trump. Enjoy the podcast. Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, Elon Musk went on to Joe Rogan's podcast, and obviously they had a great conversation. And after the fact, Joe Rogan dropped a full endorsement of Trump, which, I think is a really cool thing because Joe Rogan was a person who did not and would not support Trump in the very beginning. You guys have seen all of those clips. I've shown those in the past. Of Joe Rogan basically saying, nah, I'm not going to have him on, I'm not going to have Trump on because, people were like saying, bro, you should have Trump on, And he was always, no, not going to do it. And then he did, and it happened to be a fantastic conversation. And he also had a great conversation with Elon Musk. And I want to show you guys a couple of those clips. And I want to show you this one because this one is one of the most important clips. And I 1000% agree with what Elon Musk has to say here. Check it out. Let's dive in.
Well, I'll say it again, man. I think this is the last election. If Trump doesn't win, this is the last election.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think people, and a lot of people are waking up and realize that have been lifelong Democrats. Guys like Bill Ackman, guys like Chamath.
Yeah, exactly.
Tulsi Gabbard switched over to the Republicans. Like there's a lot of people who their whole life they've been left wing and they realize like, I can't do this anymore.
You and I used to be Democrats.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
It's nuts, man. And if the Dems win this election, they will legalize enough illegals to turn the swing states, and everywhere will be like California. There will be no escape.
That is so insane.
This is the final. This is it. This is the last chance.
Has anybody tried
and
to
I
push
just want to
back?
Go out and vote. Vote like your life depends on it. Vote like your future depends on it, because it does. This is the last chance, man.
Scary words, but they are true. I personally believe that it is true. Now, do I think it's going to be the last election? No, but I do think it's going to be the last election where we have a serious candidate, right? Someone who will actually fight for America. I do think this is probably the last election. I might give us like a 10% chance in 2028 if we don't win this. Now, will I keep fighting? Of course I will. I'm not going to give up. I'm not the kind of person. But it's even more than an uphill battle. It's an up mountain battle, right? If we don't win this today. Get out and vote. Like Elon said, vote like your life depends on it. Because it does. It does. I literally, I'm about to drop a YouTube short today of a caravan of illegals right on the opposite side of the border in Mexico, waiting to see who becomes president. I'm not even joking. I wish I was. I'm not kidding. There is a group of illegals on the opposite side of the border in Mexico waiting to see if Kamala wins. And as soon as she does, they're crossing and coming over into America. If Trump wins, I'm assuming they're just going to turn back around because they know they're going to get sent back anyway. I wish I was joking about that. Stay tuned for my YouTube shorts because I'm going to drop that later. But they are going to ship these guys everywhere across this country. We're already seeing it. And like he said, we're going to still have elections, but your vote is going to be completely washed out by the illegals. And we know they're going to vote who they're going to vote for. They're going to vote Democrat like 99.9%. And how do you expect to beat that? You're not. Like, we just aren't. We are just going to be completely outnumbered. And as the elections go further and further, they're just going to pad the stats even more and even more until like it's dang near pointless to even go out and vote. Because our votes ain't going to really count for much. It's not really going to count for anything because they brought in all these illegals who, you know, just swamped it. Just saying. So keep that in mind if you think you're going to sit at home today. Keep that in mind when you get to that polling location and there's a long line. Keep that in mind. They're waiting to come here if Kamala wins. And we know what Kamala wants to do. Even Chuck Schumer came out and literally said, hey, we need to make these guys legal citizens because Americans aren't keeping up with the birth rate. Chuck Schumer came out and said this. He said it this past summer. They said what they want to do. That bill that they keep trying to accuse Trump of crashing, that bill was going to allow more illegals to keep coming across, and then they were going to make them legal citizens. They don't talk about that part. I'm telling you. Get out and vote. But not only that, I want to play this other clip from the conversation because I think this is an interesting thing too, because if she wins, freedom of speech, it's cooked.
Deliberately pushing hoaxes that have been debunked thoroughly.
Yeah. Well,
we're like even Snopes, which is a liberal thing, says it's bogus.
Yeah.
Like the Fine People hoax.
Obama just said that on stage.
Obama just said that. I was like, what the flying
He doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't give a fuck. They're
That's
just
a flat
going
out
for
goddamn
it.
lie.
Lie.
Flat out lie.
How about the other one where Kamala's campaign used what Trump was saying about protecting women and from illegal immigrants?
Thank you.
You remember that? What he was saying is, if the women like it or not, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
When he was saying that, they were trying to say that he was taking away women's right to choose whether women like it or not. Like, that's not what he was saying.
Absolutely.
He was literally talking about protecting them from dangerous people that are sneaking in through the border.
Yes, exactly. They'll take like not even a full sentence, like a half a sentence from Trump, and then they'll push it on every ad, every speaking event, every
and it gets
media.
repeated on the news.
Yes.
This is what's crazy. They'll talk about it on these news shows, news shows.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a recent one that came up, which had a lot of people, because a lot of people reached out to me, was like, they're like, oh, Trump says he wants to execute Liz Cheney. I'm like, that is utter bullshit.
It's not what he said at all.
It's not what he said at all. He all he said was like, what he's saying is that, look, if Liz Cheney actually had to fight at the front lines, she'd think twice about going to war.
Exactly.
Like it's easy to go to war. It's easy to be a warmonger if you don't have to, risk dying at the front lines. Like basically it's fucked up if people are having like fancy dinners in Washington D.C. while people are being slaughtered in trenches. You know, it's like you're not feeling the pain.
Exactly.
You're not taking the risk. It's someone else dying.
Exactly.
That's like that's cruel and lacking in empathy. And all Trump was saying was that it's like Liz Cheney would be much less of a warmonger, because she's a huge warmonger, just like her dad, if she actually had to go to the front lines and fight herself.
And meanwhile, they're saying that he's saying she should be shot.
Yes, which is a total lie.
And
but I had like tons of people call me this weekend saying, "Oh, Trump says he's going to put Liz Cheney in a firing squad." I'm like, that is an outrageous lie. And the legacy media ran with that lie, big time.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just wild to see. And if it wasn't for Twitter or X now, I don't think we would know about all this stuff. Thank you so much for buying Twitter. Thank
welcome.
you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm not exaggerating when I think you changed the course of history. I really do. I really think you made a fork in the road. We were headed down a path of censorship and of control of narratives that is unprecedented. Forget about what they were able to do back when they had newspapers and the media under control. What they were doing with social media by suppressing information, and when you had a combined government effort, like what they were doing with the laptop story. We have 51 former intelligence agents saying that this is Russian disinformation. Take it offline. And Twitter complied. If you didn't buy that, we wouldn't have known that. We had no idea.
Exactly. No, it's. I mean, the reason I bought it was because I'm pretty attuned, since I was like the most interacted with user on Twitter before the acquisition. So before the acquisition, I had more interactions than like there's some accounts like Obama and whatever had higher follow accounts, but I had the most number of interactions of any account in the system. So I was very attuned to like if they change the system, I can tell immediately. Like, and I'm like something weird is going on here, you know. Like, so there's like I just got increasingly uneasy, and obviously when they deplatformed a sitting president, you know, don't deplatform Trump, that was just insane, you know, and the things he was posting, like he was posting things that like he was posting good things. He was saying like, hey, do not riot, don't do any destruction of property, you know. Please stay calm. That's the kind of stuff he was posting. And you're like, what's wrong with that? And then some people said like, oh, that's like some sort of dog whistle. He means the opposite. I'm like, okay, so we'll give you Trump's account. Now you post what you think you should post, because he can post nothing. He can ask people to calm down. Like what? It was insane. Like it didn't make any sense.
Well, it's completely illogical when you say it's dog whistling to tell his followers to not be violent. That's crazy.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
Don't you think they'll listen to him?
Yeah.
Isn't that the whole point? They listened to him and created violence in the first place? That's what you think. That's what you're accusing him of.
Right.
And then there's...
Yeah, so if we don't win, that's probably going to get worse. Elon will probably have to hand over Twitter. And I told you guys that bill that banned TikTok, I believe it was that bill. There was something in that bill that basically said something along the lines of, you know, talking about election interference and how you could have companies could be taken over if they are interfering in an election. But everybody was focused on, oh, we got to ban TikTok. We got to ban TikTok because China. And I'm like, yo, whenever the government tells you they're coming in to help you, run. Y'all know the famous quote, like, run. They're telling us, hey, I'm coming to help you. Why aren't we running away? Like, and everybody was, oh, yeah, we got to ban TikTok because China. Like, yo, we haven't seen this movie before. Like, y'all don't remember? Like, what? Come on now. We should know how this goes. They aren't trying to help us. They're trying to take more control. And that's what I see happening. Mark my words. If we don't win, that will happen. Elon will be forced to get rid of Twitter. And not only that, he'll probably be forced to sell all of his companies, to relinquish control of all of his companies, or they're just going to flat out bankrupt him. You know, yeah, I know it's crazy to think about. They're going to bankrupt a billionaire, but I guarantee you they're going to attempt to. All right, they're gonna find anything and everything. But not only that, like it is crazy what they were talking about there. Like they banned a sitting president, And I was having some conversations with some Democrats, and I was like, "Yo, y'all clapping for this, but now look what happened." Or y'all clapped for that, excuse me, but now look what happened. Because y'all clapped when they were trying to ban Trump. That was just a test. They were trying to see if they could get away with it, if y'all would say anything, and you didn't. Then they came for a lot of you. When you didn't agree with what they had to say, they would ban you. When you didn't agree with, the 51 intelligence agents, and you were like, no, that laptop is real, banned. It was all fun and games. It was all fun and games when it was happening to Trump, but that was just a test. They realized, oh, we got away with that? If they can ban a sitting president, what do you think they're going to do to you? If they can put a sitting president or take a sitting president and take him off of social media and take a former president and put him on trial after trial after trial after trial, if they can do that to a former president, what do you think they're going to do to you? I mean, the answer is simple. If they get away with doing it to him, they're going to do 10 times worse to you. But some people didn't get that at the time. Hopefully now people understand. We're at a crossroad here. We're at a major crossroad here. We're at a major fork in the road here. Either we can get this thing turned in the right direction, where we actually have true freedom of speech, where we don't have to worry about a sitting president being taken off of social media, or we can keep going down that path. We can allow illegals to flood our country. We can allow freedom of speech to die. We can allow the Second Amendment to go with it after that. And we can just live in squalor and take our government handouts. Now, will that happen tomorrow? No. It'll happen over time, though. It will happen over time. But yeah, man, definitely go and check out that podcast. Great podcast between Elon Musk and Joe Rogan. But get out and vote. Stay in line as long as you possibly have to until you vote. Go to the polls expecting long lines. Go to the polls expecting shenanigans. Okay? Stay in line. Stay in line. No matter what. If they tell you to turn around and go home, stay there. Stay there. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can pull up the phone number, because there was a phone number that I believe it was Scott Pressler had posted, and I had reposted it. If you come across any shenanigans while you are out voting, let me see. Yeah, you can tell. I don't plan for any of this. I just freestyle a lot of these videos. Goodness gracious. Oh, man. I've reposted so much today. If you're not following me on X, definitely go follow me on X. The link is down below in the description. All right. Make sure you're following me. Okay, so here it is. But I guess this is only for Pennsylvania. But if you do live in Pennsylvania, which obviously is a major state, here is a phone number that you can call and submit a report. Okay. All right. There it is on your screen. Pause it if you need to. Pause it if you need to. All right. Now, stay safe out there. Let's win this one. I'm out.